In May of 1863, Confederate commander Robert E. Lee was brimming with confidence after defeating the Union Army at Chancellorsville. Seeking to build on his success, Lee turned his army north to invade Pennsylvania in hopes of forcing the Union government to sue for peace. At the same time, Abraham Lincoln named General George Meade the newest commander of the Union Army of the Potomac, and ordered Meade to march into Pennsylvania to intercept Lee's invasion. The armies collided on the morning of July 1, 1863, just outside the small town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. After a day of minor skirmishing, Meade's vast army settled in along the top of a low rise called Cemetery Ridge. Among the hundreds of regiments in the Union Army at Gettysburg was the 20th Maine Infantry, commanded by Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. Chamberlain's unit was so ravaged by past fighting that he brought only 358 men to the battle, less than a quarter of the regiment's original strength. On the morning of July 2nd, Union engineers were astonished to discover that a hill at the extreme southern end of the Army's line was totally undefended. If Confederate soldiers took that hill, they would command a high point from which to rain artillery down on the entire Union front. Upon receiving this news, Chamberlain's brigade commander did not wait for approval from his superiors. He rushed his troops to occupy the hill and set Chamberlain's regiment as the end of the brigade's defensive line, on a hill known as the Little Round Top. As Chamberlain arranged his defenses, he realized that not only was his regiment the end of his brigade's line, it was the extreme left of the entire Union Army. If Chamberlain's emaciated regiment was overrun, the entire army would fall. Around 4 o'clock that afternoon, 5 Confederate regiments began their advance up the slope of the Little Round Top. Elements of the 47th and 15 Alabama infantry regiments smashed into Chamberlain's line. The 20th Maine beat back initial advances, but the Alabama men, outnumbering the Mainers 2-1, kept coming. As the hellish fighting drove on, the 20th center began to falter, but Color Sergeant Andrew Tozier, the 20th flag bearer, stood tall and refused to let the colors fall. Tozier's gallantry inspired his comrades to push back the Confederates one more time, an action that earned him the Congressional Medal of Honor. As night approached, the 20th Maine was nearly depleted of ammunition. In a last-ditch effort to drive the enemy back, Colonel Chamberlain ordered his meager force to fix bayonets and prepare to charge. Chamberlain drew his sword and led his men hurtling downhill straight into the advancing Confederates. The Alabamans were caught totally off guard and fled before the charging Mainers. Chamberlain's perilous gamble had paid off. He held out long enough for friendly reinforcements to arrive. In one stroke, he had held his position and saved the entire Union Army from defeat. The following day, the Union victory was completed, and the Confederate Army withdrew back into Virginia. Gettysburg was the turning point of the Civil War. Robert E. Lee would never again invade the North, and the rest of the conflict would be fought on Southern ground. The battle and the war may have gone very differently, but Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and the 20th Maine Infantry Regiment not displayed such heroism on the afternoon of July 2nd, 1863, on a low hill in Pennsylvania called Little Round Top.